Hey guys, and welcome back to Let's Build a Village number 4, Sawmill. And if you take a look, you can see how our village has progressed so far. We've built a windmill up there on the hill on the left, looming over our village. We've got a gate that we built especially for the village, out of the city, across a bridge, and then we've built a farmhouse here, with a wheat field on the right, and a water tower in between the two, and that water tower feeds water down to our crops to make sure they stay nice and healthy. And then we moved across the river, dragging a cobblestone bridge behind us. We took a road right to the door of this building here, as you can see, our town hall, and we spent an episode building this thing right here. It's got a bell tower with a nice big golden bell. It's got a curved peaked roof, kind of different to how we've done roofs in the past. A few windows on the side, and of course a very large hall area inside the building itself. Plenty of space for our guys, our villagers, to hold all the kind of town meetings and events that they might want to do so inside the building. So first on our list today is getting the farm to be a little bit more complete, and that means adding animals, because so far we've got wheat and a farmhouse, but we've got no animal pens, and that's what we want to get done today. So what I've done here is I've built 4 identically sized squares and filled them in. I've left 4 blocks between them, so the roads that go in between them are 4 blocks wide. Plenty of space for us to put in like a cobblestone path. Then I opened up the pens, started building a wooden gate, and then put fences across the top. And once I'd done all these fences, I decided that the wooden steps that we'd used to make the actual pens looked a bit wrong, so I replaced the wooden blocks with log blocks, and I think it looked a lot more natural. Once I'd done those, I finished the gates with wooden steps upside down and normal way up, and wooden half blocks at the top to get that kind of irregular peak to the gate, and then finished with the fences around the edges of all the pens. Once I'd done that, I went through the middle and put down some cobblestone half blocks as pathing and roads in between the animal pens, and to hook us up to the main cobblestone road that we've got coming out of the city and going to the town hall. And then it was time to add lights to the middle and hook them up. Now, I needed a gate for these pens, and what I wanted to do with those is use sticky pistons with wooden fence posts on top, hooked it up with redstone, tested it out, buried it, and then tested it again. And it worked perfectly. In hindsight, I should have put mud or dirt blocks on top of the sticky pistons, and then put fences on top of those to make it look more natural and hidden the piston mechanism, but I decided to go with the pistons anyway, because it was never going to look like a natural gate with the lever. And then with the gates all hooked up, it was time to add the animals, the chickens, the cows, the sheep, and of course the pigoo. And once they were all in place, the farm was almost done, but of course there was a few more things to take care of. One of those being adding roads to the sides of where the animal pens connect to the water. And then once I'd done those, it was time to move on to the barns. Put 2 holes in the ground here, filled them with wood, because that would be the flooring for what would become our 2 barns. I went around the edges with cobblestone, almost all the edges. I left one open because we can have open facing barns. I used wooden logs on the corners, and then used wooden steps in between the 2 as roofing. Now, instead of peaking these up triangularly, I tried to smooth the top off so it looked a bit more dome shaped, and that's why you see the top has 2 flat blocks as a roof rather than one peaked point. Then I came around the front, finished the roof, and then went inside the barn, added things like shelves in the form of wooden steps and a few wooden fences as supports. And there you go. That's what we've done so far. We've built the animal pens, 4 of them right there, with redstone gates that activate on levers. They've got water troughs, and as you can see, the ducks like their water a little bit too much. All of them have just flocked to the water. That was a mistake, perhaps. Perhaps you should put a few ponds inside the duck pen. But we've got the barn there, and that completes the farm almost. We just need a few more decorative pieces, perhaps a wooden cart of some kind. We'll have to have a think about what the farm needs to complete it. But then as we move over, there's another large space between the river and the farm that we have not much we can do with. And that is the area that we're going to put the sawmill. We need it to be right next to the water because we're going to have a water wheel to power it. And I know at the moment that the river looks a bit kind of jagged because you don't usually see grass blocks next to water like that, so we're going to have a look at that. And here you see me mapping out the foundations for what will become our sawmill. I wanted there to be a main building, which you see there on the right, and then a jut out that was going to have the actual platform for actually sawing the logs. I measured the sides so that we got a nice even pattern, and then I used wooden logs every, I think that's 4 blocks. I kept 3 blocks in between, and then on the bottom level I used fences to give the building a kind of stilts effect. I put in some wooden arches, toyed with the idea of replacing those with logs, but went back to the wood because it just felt like it seemed better that way. And then I started on the roof, with which I was going to use nether brick steps. I went up on the main building just to calculate the roof size because the way the roof connected to the main building was kind of important with this building. But halfway through I realised that it would just look wrong if I had a standard peak, so what I tried was an off-centre peak to the building roof. That meant that the right peak, the right side of the roof that you see there, the slant there, came down much lower. And I've seen this effect on a lot of sawmill buildings in real life. I mean, I looked up a lot of pictures on Google to get ideas of how I wanted my sawmill, and that's what I settled with, a kind of off-centered peaked roof. You see me here putting in a window, changing the bottom here to add to that stilts effect with the fence posts there and the cobblestone behind it. It took me a long time to get a window that I was happy with, and in truth, the window that I did finish with I'm not sure I was entirely happy with either. But it was the best of a bunch. Then I filled in the wall on the left, had another go at the window, still couldn't get it quite right, and came back to add a door and wooden steps up to that door. Fence posts on the log alley, and then I came around to the back of the water mill, the wood mill, sawmill, as you can see, which was very unfinished too. Finished the roof on this side, and then began work on the water wheel. Now I've never built a water wheel, so this was quite fun, quite a good challenge for me. I toyed around with the design, and when I finally got something that I thought looked sweet, that I wanted to keep, I realised I'd done it one too high, so I rebuilt it again one lower, so that the water wheel actually dipped in the water. I finished up with a window there on the left, and then went back to the roof with the with the nether brick steps, and peaked that off. Came back around the front, added some fences and some flowers, and then went back to the side of the building here and finished up with wooden upside down steps. Added, of course, the sawing channel here, which is where the logs are going to trundle down as they're about to hit the big metal saw. Added stilts to the right of the house, hooked it up with a path, and then it was time to think about where I was going to put the logs, because whenever you see a sawmill, you have big piles of logs, big kind of pyramid piles of log, and unfortunately in Minecraft the log blocks face upwards because of course they're trees. And it would have been much nicer to have these logs be horizontal, and perhaps there's a texture pack that allows that. Unfortunately, because logs also are parts of trees, I don't see it working. So I added the lamppost there with the glowstone, and there you have it. As you come around you can see we've turned on UgoCraft to present this because we're using a water wheel, right? And why would we Why would we build a water wheel and not take advantage of Ugocraft? And consequently, you can see in the background there, the windmill is spinning too. The ducks, of course, still having their bath. And our village is definitely getting on its way to completion. I'm not sure what other buildings we need, so keep coming in with those comments about what you think you want to see from our village, what you think we should build. We also need a name. That's something I haven't settled on yet because nothing quite seems right. In fact, I don't even know what the kingdom's called or the city. I'm not sure if I want something fantasy, something Minecrafty, or perhaps a mix of both. So that's been Let's Build a Village, Part 4, Sawmill. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've gotten some cool ideas. I hope you go away from this with a few ideas about how to build stuff on your own. And I'd love to see that, so make sure you post that on the Facebook. Thanks for watching, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.